Welcome, I hope you've been keeping well. Thank you for joining me. The timestamps, as always, in the description box. Well, let's get started. Story number 1. Opie writes, Hello all, first time posting under a throwaway and on mobile. Today when I came home from work, my pregnant wife of 8 years, she had packed me a bag and told me she found my private Reddit account and started to accuse me of cheating on her. She was screaming and wouldn't let me talk to her or defend myself. She said she found the story I posted detailing that I have cheated with a co-worker and now the co-worker is pregnant. She said she wanted a divorce and she won't let me see my unborn child. I have never cheated on her, never thought about it. I don't think I've ever given her a reason to think I did. I found the post she thought was mine and it has some similar details to our life, but it was posted over a year ago. Similar details is how we met, ages and the fact I have a co-worker that is pregnant. Other than that, the post said that the OP has an older daughter. The co-worker has been working with the OP for years. The co-worker at my company started 4 months ago and was pregnant before she started. My wife is currently 6 months pregnant with our first kid, a girl. We have had our ups and downs, but nothing to cause this. How do I convince her it was not me when she doesn't want to talk to me or hear me out? I can't lose my wife or baby. My in-laws won't listen to me and my wife won't pick up or text back. And here's some additional information from OP. This all happened about 3 hours ago. It started the minute I walked in. I don't know what she was looking up or doing. I do have a Reddit account, but it is like a pet rock. I have it, but it just sits there not really doing anything. I might look at it once or twice a year. I will have to ask around and hope someone will hear me and help me. And here's OP's update. My pregnant wife kicked me out accusing me of cheating on her and getting my co-worker pregnant after she found, quote, my secret Reddit account, unquote, even though there were obvious differences in the post, as well as when the post was made. I that night drove 1 hour to my in-laws. My family are not close. When I showed up, they wouldn't let me in until I started crying. I know, not manly. And I explained that I was worried for my wife's mental state and our child's safety and asked if they would please hear me out. They finally let me in. I put everything on the table. They did not hear the full story and my wife, she said that I cheated and then got in her face blaming everything on her. None of it was true. I showed them the post that she suspected was made by me, then pointed out the obvious differences. I next pulled up footage from one of our outside cameras that caught some of the argument, caught audio only. They could tell I was not the aggressor, and she was not acting like her normal self. While in the camera app, I noticed a car was parked across the street. One I recognized that I should have never seen again. Up to this point, I realized that I also messed up. 1. My wife is off some of her medications and switched to different ones for the pregnancy. 2. I've spent more time at work lately due to trying to save up more money for our future. This means I've been neglecting my wife. 3. I now know why my wife was acting this way. My wife had a friend/co-worker that never approved of the relationship between my wife and I. We will call her Satan. She kept trying to get between us by causing fights or bringing up false red flags of mine. Then she confessed her love for my wife and said she wanted me out of the picture. When she told my wife this, she told me and decided to cut contact and move to a different apartment. I told my in-laws that we have to go to my wife. My in-laws contacted my wife and told her that they were coming over. She accepted it. She was crying and still very emotional. My in-laws told me to give them a few minutes to talk to her first. When we pulled up, it was about 8 or 9 at night. From my in-laws. When they walked in, my wife was crying to Satan, who was happy we had a fight. They knew about what that woman tried to do in the past and told her to give them a few minutes alone. She agreed after some arguing. They had her talk about her side again and gave her the evidence from my point of view. It turns out that Satan was taking advantage of the fact that my wife is pregnant. I'm working more hours, my wife is on different medications, and the info from our past that painted me in a bad way. She also had been showing me other, quote, evidence, unquote. Like somehow she had a picture of me and my female pregnant co-worker when we went out to get food for the team. My wife accepted this and kicked Satan out and blocked her again. We are going to try to get a restraining order placed on her. Things are better, but not back to the way we were. I got her a doctor's appointment on Tuesday about her medicine and scheduled an emergency therapy session with her therapist on Wednesday. For now, I'm sleeping in the guest room and trying my best to not break up our 8+ year marriage. I feel betrayed that she would take someone's side who has already proven they will do anything to get what they want. Lie about her being no contact, then accuse me of cheating and not listen to what I have to say. But at the same time, I love my wife. I know that she was not in a proper state of mind. I want to get marriage counseling, but the wait list is over 2 months long. I will tell my boss on Monday about cutting back on hours to help my wife. I have saved up time off that should help. Luckily, our company provides 3 months of paternity leave. Hopefully, we can get things right. My in-laws have also been staying close just in case my wife needs them or if they have to step in. Edit. I have told my actual pregnant co-worker what happened. Her and her husband are understanding of the situation. They said that they would be willing to sit down with us and talk. I believe she is due in the coming month, so she won't be at work for a while. And here's some additional information from Opie. I won't let anything happen to my family. We are getting things together to give to their HR department. My wife will probably be quitting soon for the baby as well. We have to wait until after the baby is born before we make any big moves. I'm going to bring it up with my wife tonight. My boss is an understanding man. He is actively searching for good positions that I can transfer to, as well as reaching out to his contacts to see if I could get a position elsewhere. I hope that after my baby is born and she is back on her proper meds, that I will have my wife back. And here's a comment with a reply from Opie. You and your wife need to file a restraining order against Satan, no contact and distance avoidance. Opie replies, We are trying, but I never realized how hard it is to actually get one filed. I don't know if it's just my local police, but the process is hard. My goodness, Opie, what an ordeal you've been through. Satan definitely waited for your wife to be in a very vulnerable position so that she could then go ahead and exploit that. I don't know why your wife stayed in contact with her even after she said that she was going to break contact. That is something to discuss in therapy. I don't know, sometimes it's very hard for people to see the obvious, to see what's right in front of them. I hope you have very good security around your home. I just don't trust Satan at all. I know some people will say you should leave your wife or something like that, but I also understand that you've been together for 8 years and you're about to have your first child together. So I think marriage counseling is an excellent idea. It's just a pity that you have to wait 2 months. How many relationships can actually stand to wait 2 months when they're going through a very rough patch? But I think you're going to be okay, Opie, because your wife now sees the truth. And I don't think she's ever going to let Satan back in her life again. Not after all this drama and trauma that she caused her. It sounds like the two of you have a lot of support and a lot of good people around you. Apart, of course, from Satan. And on to story number 2. Opie writes, My husband's family has a ton of issues. They're super dysfunctional and emotionally abusive. They're also racist and bigoted, so I don't like them anyways. My husband's sister is one of the worst. She has hated me even before we met and has bullied me from day one of meeting me and tried to get their entire family to hate me and asked my husband to leave me many times. She's done so many things that I started keeping a list privately of her transgressions. She barely spoke to me at my own wedding because she decided she was mad at me for not responding to her saying she liked my flowers. In the middle of family portraits earlier that day, when there were 1,000 people talking to me all at once. So every time I tried to talk to her at my own wedding, including asking her to dance and hang out, she ignored me and I had no idea why. Then she told everyone how rude I was for ignoring her comment about flowers and that their family was so much better off without my, quote, drama, unquote. This is the kind of person she is, and this is the least of it. She conspired with my husband's former friend, former due to domestic violence charges, to get him to end my engagement to my husband, and would call him for hours trying to convince him, and asked him to lie to me to intentionally draw a wedge between us. I started keeping my list once I realized how narcissistic she was, and that trying to have a relationship with her was futile, and went no contact with her. She was very upset about the no contact for some reason, despite telling everyone how awful I was. I also was in therapy just because of all this, so I didn't make the decision lightly. The purpose of the list is to keep track of abusive behavior for when their family gaslights me and tells me, quote, sister-in-law's done nothing wrong, unquote, which is often. So I have my own reminder to myself why I made my decision. It's private and not for sharing or blackmailing. My husband found it in my desk drawer and threw it out. He has told me he wants me to give sister-in-law another chance, and now he's lying by saying he didn't touch the list. I looked everywhere for it, but I know where it was, since I had just seen it the day before my husband went into my desk for something else. I've been through a lot in the past year, and my capacity for more pain and heartbreak is zero. I just want to be done with all of this. I feel like I have nobody to lean on and trust now. I just want to leave and start a new life, but I feel like I'm being so dramatic over a list by wanting a divorce. Someone please talk sense into me. Here's OP's update. Thank you to everyone who commented. I greatly appreciate their advice. First, I wanted to address anyone who said my list of transgressions was petty. I can understand why it may seem like that, but when you've been in an abusive situation, that is what most therapists may recommend. Second, we are not getting a divorce, at least not yet, but are going to do some therapy. I also realize now my anger, though valid, was actually very amplified from my hormones being unbalanced from my miscarriage a couple of weeks ago. Unfortunately, I still don't know what happened to the original list. I haven't asked my husband about it since the first time, because we have been having very stressful conversations pretty much non-stop this week. Mostly because I've just about had it with his family, and honestly, I'm pretty certain he threw it out anyways. I don't think he truly understood the purpose of the list until now, and so I am taking the advice of one commenter and making him help me create a new one. This also requires him to actually sit and think about the things his sister has done and say her terrible behavior out loud. We've begun having more conversations about the dysfunction in his family. These conversations have gone amazingly well, though I can tell even thinking about the idea of setting boundaries terrifies him. He's been generally avoidant of the topic in the past, but we have finally figured out a way to discuss it where neither of us gets frustrated, which I mainly attribute to my husband finally realizing that when he talks to or about his parents, he is pretty much always in a fight or flight state, which hinder his communication about it. He has also recognized that it's unlikely he will ever have a relationship with his family like I have with mine due to this. And we have decided to work on him just establishing small boundaries with his parents over text. I've also helped him recognize that the dynamic with his mother specifically is one that parent and child roles are flipped, and that is why he constantly feels like he has to comfort her and why he always feels like he has to be de-escalating her emotions. He sees how this has made him anxious when dealing with her. We are not having a baby since I'm still recovering from my miscarriage, but also because I want my husband to recognize how his dynamic with his parents is toxic and come up with strategies to break that cycle of emotional abuse before we have kids. He's had conversations with his parents on the phone that I'm present for, where he clearly states that they need to respect me and apologize for particular things. Unfortunately, they refuse, and most often begin victimizing themselves, the classic Davo. He is supportive of me being no contact or low contact with any of them that I wish, as they've really shown who they are the past few months. Well, Opie, I'm glad that you and your husband are finally on the same page with this and working together to get better, the both of you. And yes, people like that, they can make you question yourself, and that is exactly why people make these lists. It's precisely so you can go back and see how you've been gaslit in the past. and that you're not crazy, that you're not imagining things. I'm also glad that you're going to wait before you start your family and first work through all of these issues. So keep at it and best of luck to you. Well, that's it for this edition. Thank you for spending this time with me. Please give it a thumbs up if you did like it. Consider subscribing and leave a comment, and I'll see you again next time. Bye.